The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is one of the greatest Zelda games of all time, but there's just one problem. It's a little too easy. So I sat there thinking, how can I actually make this game difficult and up to my standards, because I'm good, but also kind of a masochist. But then it hit me. Can I beat this entire game without a sword? No level 1 sword, no master sword, nothing. Is that even possible? I had to find out. And what it took to make this work almost broke me. But by the end of this, I proved once again that I'm good and you're bad.
True.
Let's get into it. So beating A Link to the Past without a sword isn't exactly straightforward. To even attempt this, it requires a few glitches, and a lot of other things that probably shouldn't work, because this idea didn't just come out of nowhere. I started thinking about the earlier Zelda games. Zelda 1, that game can be beaten without a sword. Zelda 2, coded entry by the way, unfortunately not possible. So that got me wondering, could A Link to the Past be pushed the same way? After doing some research, I found runs and information showing that a swordless run is technically possible, but there's a problem. This game has multiple points where the sword is required just to progress, so the only way to make this work is to completely break the game. And later on in the video I will bring up version differences, because I tested this both on the US version and the Japanese 1.0 version. The Japanese 1.0 version is basically a speedrunner's wet dream. It has more glitches, more exploits, and even faster scrolling text compared to later releases that patched a lot of this stuff out. And just for the record, yes, I do own a US copy of Link to the Past complete in box.
Aiga, what about the Japanese version?
My lawyers advised me not to answer that question.
Better call Saul.
Anyway, for this video, I'll be mainly focusing on the US version, because while the JP version makes this run very possible, the US version... yeah, this is where I started to question a lot of my life choices. But we'll get into all that later. So here are the rules, and my goal is simple. Beat A Link to the Past without ever using a sword. I will not be collecting heart pieces, only mandatory heart containers from the dungeons. No using safety crutches like the magic cape or the can of Burna. And just to make things even harder for me, no storing fairies in bottles for cheap revives, because if I'm going to handicap myself, I'm doing it in the I'm superior in every way.
That makes sense.
And of course, I had to name myself
Put your dick away, Walter.
After being so rudely woken up by his spirit, Link's uncle thinks he's an I'm good and sets off to save Zelda. Yeah, I'm trying to hold in my laughter right now. Unc thinks he's him, but Link wakes up and now begins his journey to become an I'm good. So in the normal game you're meant to make your way to the castle along a set path, because there are guards everywhere that won't let you through. And after revealing the hole under the shrub, Link falls down the hole and you find your uncle, who clearly sucks at this. And with his dying breath, he says, "Link, Zelda's your side piece. Midna's the real baddie anyway. Wait till the Twilight Princess timeline." But of course, we already have a problem. Unc tries to give us the sword, and I can't take it. So what do? This is where I went to the drawing board, and after doing some research, I found information on a glitch called the Citrus Clip. Now before I explain all this, I do want to give credit. A lot of what I learned came from this video by the channel Phobia, and I also came across the runner Andy Laso, who has done multiple successful swordless runs on the Japanese 1.0 version. Links to those videos will be in the description. No, not the main character Link. Actual hyperlinks. Anyway, the Cypress Clip uses a technique called select buffering. Basically, you tap a direction and immediately hit the select button in order to force precise one frame perfect movement, because even though I'm really good, I'm not TAS. So what I had to do is tap up and left, then buffer, tap down and buffer, and alternate those two directions over and over again until I clipped into the wall. And then eventually I landed my way to this exact spot. And not just exact spot, exact pixel. There's no close enough, not one pixel off to the north, south,
West.
and I'm not kidding. Learning how to do this and successfully doing it once took me about 2 hours. But when I finally landed on that perfect pixel, nothing but pure relief.
Let's go!
Unfortunately, as Billy Mays would say,
But wait, there's more!
so once I'm in this spot, I then have to pull off a down warp, which is pressing down and left at the same time to land on top of the wall. And yes, you can mess this up. And I did. In that moment, it felt like my soul left my body and went to finally play Simon's Quest. But luckily, after another 20 minutes or so, I got back into position, and it worked, thank God. And thankfully, this next part is easy. All I have to do is walk below the screen before it transitions, and it lets me slip under the guards to walk past them, and just like that, we can explore all of Hyrule without a damn sword. How cool is that?
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
This was just an insane feeling because I didn't even think this was possible at first. And now I'm just running around Hyrule in the rain, completely defenseless, but I'm on my way to the first dungeon of the game. But before we enter the palace, I need to make a quick stop, because in this building west of the palace, you can find the game's main guide, whose job it is to guide every year bad. How do you say that? Sahasrara?
How do you say your last name? Well, I'm gonna keep calling you Neil.
So Neil just starts telling me a bunch of things I already know, but the moment he mentions he'll give me a magical artifact for my troubles, my neurons activated. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even think Castlevania 3 has ever gotten me this bricked up before.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Anyway, with that out of the way, it's time for the first palace. The first dungeon in the game, containing 21 rooms, and normally, this place is a 1 out of 10 for difficulty, but swordless? 2 out of 10, but not for the reason you'd think, because right now, I have nothing. No sword, no real way to fight back, and on top of that, Zelda will not stop calling me every 60 seconds! Zelda, I'm trying to save you without any weapons.
Shut the hell up, bitch.
So as I start making my way through the dungeon, most of it is actually pretty manageable, but there are a couple moments where this run can just end if I mess it up, and the first room happens to be right here. 4 skeletons spawn in, and I have exactly 5 pots to deal with them. So in theory, this should be free, but if I miss too many pots and don't kill the skeletons, the door stays locked behind me, and with no way out, I have to restart the entire game and redo the glitch. So yeah, no pressure. And of course, I missed the pot.
You missed that one.
But after locking the f*** in, I clean it up and take care of all the skeletons, and now we move on. And I get to the second problem room. Things get much worse in here, because this time, there are more enemies than pots. So now, the math is just not mathing, and there's no room for playing like a year bad. So the only way this room is possible is to take a hit from another enemy, use the iframes, and grab the pot and hit the switch before I take too much damage. It's really tight, it's stupid, but it works.
That's what she said.
And just like that, we get the big key. And this is where everything in this palace changes, because in every palace there's a big chest, and inside the big chest for this palace is the bow and arrow. And now instead of having to rely on only pots, this is the first time in this run that I'm not feeling completely helpless. The only slight issue is I can only hold 30 arrows at a time, so if I run out,
I'm in danger!
from here on out, the rest of the dungeon is pretty smooth. And let's ask Neil for a quick hint. And side note, I collected a lot of rupees inside this first palace, but eventually with little trouble, I reached the first boss, the Armos Knights. And honestly, this fight is pretty much free because they're weak to the arrows anyway.
Help me!
I got one more in me, bro. I'm about to lose my mind.
So I basically got into position, spammed all my arrows, and take out the Armos Knights with no issues. And just like that, the first palace is already done, with no sword. And now when I leave the palace, Zelda's still stuck in the castle, it's still raining outside, and there are no enemies anywhere in the overworld. I'm starting to realize something. This might actually be possible. So in the wise words of Bubsy, what could possibly go wrong? So after returning to Neil Hospital and listening to his schizo ramblings, Link shows him the first pendant, and Neil rewards me with the best item of the game, the Pegasus boots.
Beep beep.
Plus I found some more rupees in here, so now I'm thinking, okay, we're chilling, and it's still raining.
Look at this free water!
There are still no enemies anywhere in the overworld, which means I should be able to just walk on over to the second palace and keep this run going, right?
Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Because once I actually took a look at the map, I realized I had a problem. I wrapped around all the way to here, trying to reach the second palace, which I needed to pick up some key items along the way. The Book of Medora, which opens the entrance of the second palace. I can enter this building and obtain 1 bottle to help later on, and I was able to get the bug net, which before you question my decision, and you'd be foolish to even doubt me on that, the bug net is a very important item for later on in the challenge. But what's coming up next, I did not expect that all to happen. The guards were still here, and the game does not like it when you approach them from the wrong direction. So yeah, thanks Nintendo for preventing me from being too good at the game, and now I'm stuck, because I also can't go this way. There's a giant boulder blocking the path, and I need the power glove item to lift it, which is in the palace I'm trying to get to.
I love the power glove. It's so bad.
So I start thinking, okay, maybe I can go into the sanctuary, get through the sewers, and bring Zelda back to the priest to be able to fix the game's current state. I tried going inside, and Link can't even open the door because on the other side, the door opens with a lever. So there's no getting through this. I then thought maybe the graveyard secret entrance into the castle could be possible, but unfortunately that won't work either, because accessing that entrance requires the power glove to lift the rocks.
That is sadistic.
So at this point, I've got one option left, and I don't even know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try. If I make my way to the witch's hut, which by the way, she's not even there, which is strange, but I can actually carve a path through the bushes here and reach Zora's domain.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
And normally, there'd be a ton of Zoras that are shooting at you, but they're not even here, which is really weird. And then eventually following this path, you would meet King Zora, where he sells you the flippers for 500 rupees.
That is such a scam.
Which not only do I need the flippers to beat the game, but I want to swim in Lake Hylia and possibly make my way to the desert following this route on the map. And since I already ran the guards in these spots, I have to hope there are no guards in this location. But if it works out the way I want to, then I have my way into the desert palace. So what ended up happening at this point?
1 minute later.
Wait, King Zora isn't here? Are you serious? So now what? Well, it's back to the drawing board again, and at this point, I've basically run out of options. The only way forward is to somehow force the game out of this pre-sort state, which means no more rain, the guards are gone, NPCs are actually spawning, you know, getting the game to function.
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
And luckily, after doing more digging around, I have found a solution. But unfortunately, it involves more clipping. Yeah, I need a minute. I really hate this part. So the plan now is I make my way to this cave in Kakariko Village. For some reason, you cannot press the select button inside the caves for some idiotic reason, but luckily there's a workaround. If I spam my lantern and empty the magic meter, then try to use the lantern with no magic, it brings up this message. Is this a normal version of the game? But what this allows me to do is what I did earlier, is basically the same thing as a Cypher's clip, but now I can use the frame buffering inside the caves. What? Am I supposed to be happy about that? Because that just means more of this. So once again, I have to clip into the wall and make my way to this one exact pixel. And after finally getting into position, I do a down warp again. And it pushes me to this spot, but I can then hop into the wall. And this is where things get completely broken now, because I can basically access any tile in the game in a glitch state using this visual on the screen. So now the goal is simple: find Zelda, so she can finally stop messaging me every 60 seconds, because doing this clip while she's spamming dialogue was going to drive me insane. So using this map of the game's tiles, I navigated my way to her location, which is over here. But of course, it's not that simple, because if I just drop in and try to save her, the game is still broken.
I'm completely glitched.
Look at this.
Collision doesn't work with enemies, my attacks don't work. So now I have to follow a very specific setup to fix this issue. I have to manage my way to this room and then drop into a pit, because that makes sense. Then get to this room and make it to the stairs, go up and down the stairs a few times, and somehow that fixes the game. Enemies can hit me again, and more importantly, I can hit the enemies. So now we're back in business. And thankfully, this door doesn't need a key, because for some reason, the game just gives me 255 small keys since it thinks we're in a cave.
What?
Yeah, don't ask. Phobia's video goes more into details and explains this much better, because he's good at explaining. I don't understand coding. So I take down this ball and chain asshole, grab the big key, and we get our reward of 5 rupees. And I save Zelda too. So now Zelda, can you please stop messaging me now?
Yes.
From this point, I can finally play the game normally again and just progress to the sanctuary like in the normal game. I'm gonna skip that heart container in the chest because it repulses me. And now the moment of truth. I step outside the sanctuary. The game state is officially fixed, which means there are no guards in this part of the map, and I can finally move along and take on the desert palace. But then, I started thinking ahead. If that glitch let me access Hyrule Castle, couldn't I, in theory, use it to access any palace in the game?
Just a theory.
Because later on in the game, there's one palace in particular that becomes a nightmare without a sword, which is Misery Mire. The exact problem with that dungeon is just to enter the dungeon, it requires an item you can't even get without the Master Sword. So I thought, why not just deal with that problem now? If I'm already breaking the game, why not break it even more? So that's exactly what I plan to do. I went back to the cave and clipped my way into the wall and made it into Misery Mire early. And once again, I needed to walk on the stairs to fix all the collision issues. But what's really interesting about this segment is that the cave music still plays, which means the game still thinks I'm in a cave. By the way, imagine struggling on this baby easy game, but the fact we're in a cave state means not only does the game not check if Link has the big key, but that means 3 small keys. So I can just walk up to the big chest in this room and open it without a big key to obtain the Cane of Samaria. Now we're cooking, because not only is it required for this palace, it finally gives me another way to deal damage besides the bow and arrow. Now I make my way through Misery Mire while the textures are all screwed up, the place looks cursed, and I'm still wondering when this challenge is going to get difficult.
I'm Peeps.
Well, I guess I spoke too soon because I made it to the boss of the palace, Vitreous. Now normally, he's easy as shit, but with no sword, 4 hearts, only 30 arrows and 10 bombs at my disposal, plus the Cane of Samaria does nothing to him, how can I possibly defeat Vitreous, who also possesses a deadly lightning attack? Unfortunately, I had to learn after dying a few times like a year bad, which by the way sends me all the way back to the sanctuary.
Oh, no, no.
I started experimenting with different strategies, and that's when I found out the bombs actually work on the smaller eyeballs, and not only that, they can hit multiple eyes at once, and that means I can save my arrows for the big guy. So I burned through all my bombs to do as much damage to the small eyes as I can, finished the rest off with the arrows, and I was able to avoid his deadly lightning attacks, and I just need at least 8 arrows to finish him off. Wait, where's the crystal? Beating a Dark World Palace gives you a crystal, but what exactly is going on here, you may be wondering? The best theory I can come up with is that the game still thinks I'm in a cave, so unfortunately no matter what, it won't trigger the crystal drop. I just beat a late game palace and boss for nothing. And on top of that, there's nothing I can do to leave the room, and I even tried to do some dumb stuff, like timing a bomb after the final hit, hoping it would kill Link and reset something. I mean, it got me out of the dungeon, but I forfeited the heart container in progress. So now I'm just sitting here thinking, did I just waste all my time? Is the run over already? Yeah, so I'm not letting some stupid failsafe stop me. Misery Mire is a later problem we can tackle, but for now, I have some unfinished business. I went back to do the cave clip again, and as long as I don't get hit by any enemy, I can save Zelda and bonk off this chest with the boots. Now I can move through the walls and then take Zelda's stupid ass back to the sanctuary where everything is completely fine here.
Totally fine.
Then I'll jump out of the wall and hit save and quit in midair. And no, that's not a rage quit, because now I can choose to respawn to Sanctuary and go back to that same Kakariko cave, and I'm able to simply bonk out of bounds this time and go back to get the Cane of Samaria, but respectfully I'm gonna dip for Misery Mire this time. But actually, there is something special I can do in this particular room, and by the sound of my voice, I'm pretty ecstatic to talk about it. So what's so special about this room? It's another area where I can do some more lamp buffering. I love this challenge. So I clipped my way into the wall and made it to this exact spot, and this time when I do the downward teleport, Link gets pushed into a room with fairies, and then I take this teleporter, and believe it or not, that was actually the fairy room for the Tower of Hera, which means now, I'm in the 3rd dungeon of the game. This game is falling apart and I'm enjoying every second of it, but more importantly, if I fall down this hole, I can gain access to the Moon Pearl, which might actually be the most important item in this game.
Okay.
Because without the Moon Pearl, if I enter the Dark World later on, Link will be turned into a rabbit, and Link can't do shit as a rabbit.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
So the Moon Pearl is absolutely massive, but another question that arises is, can I even beat the Tower of Hera and move on? Sadly not, because of the asshole that waits you upstairs, which is Moldorm. We'll get into his lore later on, but long story short, he is immune to every weapon I currently hold, so we'll figure it out later. And let me know in the comments who's the bigger asshole, Igub or Moldorm. It's probably me, but I enjoy playing the part. So now I head out of the tower and I need to make my way to the cave over here. And in the dark cave, we run into the lost old man. This is actually pretty funny because normally you encounter him coming from the left, and I'm just surprised we didn't jump scare his ass. But after saving him, he follows me back to his little cave on the mountain, and this was important for 2 reasons.
Number 1.
The old man for our troubles gives Link the magic mirror, and I'd argue it's the 2nd most important item of the game. More important than that stupid sword.
Number 2.
But also now if I game over later in the challenge, which will definitely only be for demonstration purposes to state for the record, the mountain cave is now a respawn point, which is great for fast travel, and I have access to almost all of Death Mountain, which because of that fact, I feel like getting the silver arrows now. I bet some of your genius is gonna say,
You normally can't get silver arrows until the end of the game.
first off, you're wrong because I'm always right, but I have another trick up my sleeve, which is called dash buffering. I basically have to tap right and the dash button a few times to buffer and clip inside the wall. It's not too difficult on its own, but here's the major problem. The damn boulders were constantly hitting me and sometimes killing me. Your Honor, strike that from the record. But eventually I found my window and clipped into the necessary spot. Then Link will just jump out of bounds, and after some fancy maneuvering, I get Link to this spot, and wouldn't you know it, that was the portal that's below the Tower of Hera, and it takes me to the Dark World.
Ooh.
Everything is still broken because the coding was done by Your Bad, but falling out of bounds twice and getting to this spot, I use the magic mirror and it looks like nothing happened, but I pull up the map and look at that. The portal is in a completely different spot. And now I intentionally die. That doesn't count, okay? I respawn at 308 Negro Royal Lane, and I have to go to that portal because it's still there. And when I enter the portal, look where we end up. Inside the Golden Pyramid, which normally in the late game you need the super bomb to blow up and get inside. So what this means, besides being really good, I can get the silver arrows before tackling a second dungeon. This is insane. Oh, before dipping, let me fill up the empty bottle with a free magic potion. Okay, she clearly says the Dark World has an effect on her form, which she is from the Light World, and it's not N64 scary, but I need to say,
Boy, are you fat.
okay, enough being mean, but really quickly I still need to gear up a bit more. Luckily getting rupees in this game is an absolute joke. Rupees. Rupees everywhere. So I bought the bottle in Kakariko. I went to King Zoro, who is there now, and got scammed into the flippers, picked up the suspicious mushroom in the woods, and took it back to the witch's hut where she can cook the mushroom.
But you know the business, and I know the chemistry.
I honestly forgot to get the item that you obtained from the mushroom, but we'll cover that later on. And lastly, I need the hidden item east of Lake Hylia, the ice rod. At this point, I am decked the f*** out. Nothing will stop me. So now I have an interesting problem. Where exactly should I go from this point? Surely the Desert Palace, right? Nah, I'm better than that. So I figured why not go to the Dark World first and take on late game palaces with 4 hearts and no sword.
That's a great idea.
So naturally, I went to the Dark World portal and made my way onto this valley. Then I used the magic mirror all the way to the right, and now in the Light World, move Link exactly 1 pixel forward. And I mean
Exactly.
1 pixel. Because too far forward and Link will immediately teleport back. Done correctly, Link needs to teleport back. And now comparing the first and second portal, the portal actually shifted over onto the bridge. So for one final time, Link backs into the portal, and boom, we're on the ledge. And now I can hop down here and follow this path, and congratulations to me, I'm in the Dark World and have a possible 7 palaces to take on first. But there is only one catch to this. If I die in the overworld, then the game sends me back to the Light World, which that's obviously
No good.
the game doesn't recognize me as officially in the Dark World, but I think that small risk is worth taking because the first palace I want to conquer swordless is the Thieves' Hideout. The Thieves' Hideout, a small dungeon with only 21 rooms, normal difficulty, 2 out of 10, but swordless, 8 out of 10. Why the sudden jump, you may ask? Well, if you keep on watching,
You gonna find out.
so I start making my way through the dungeon, and I love how easy it is, because in this place, you can get the big key in about 30 seconds from the entrance. Once I make it to the big key door, the next general area has more combat to deal with, and the only real threat are these enemies called Zazaks, which to make it easier for me, I'm just gonna call them dinosaurs. But the red Zazaks are a real threat because they shoot fireballs. But aside from that, getting to the basement is the next step and still very easy. I open up all these cells and I'm careful about the dinosaurs, and wait a second, I forgot to play the rupee minigame next to the Thieves' Hideout before coming in here.
Are you being serious?
Oh, I saved the maiden? That's cool too, but also extremely weird since they normally get saved after the boss. I won't question it. The maiden tells me let's go outside and get down to business.
Oh boy, smooching time.
But before engaging in that, I need to make it into this room where there's a big chest, and this big chest holds another goated item, the Titan's Mitt. And now 95% of the overworld is basically unlocked because Link can lift the big rocks, the dark rocks, maybe even that fairy in the pyramid fountain.
Oh, my back.
But let's magic mirror out this bitch and leave the dungeon since the maiden said so.
Huh?
You literally just said, let's go outside.
You stupid bitch.
Alright, fine. I'm going outside anyway. F you. And she doesn't follow me. Oh, okay, something is definitely wrong. Oh, you know what? Let me take a break and do some good old gambling. I love this minigame because it's so easy to double and triple my rupees, which brings me to today's spawns. Okay, no, I'm not doing that yet, but... So many chests, so many rupees. Oh yeah, there's a heart piece in one of these, so I better get out of here before I break one of the rules. As I re-enter the palace, I get the maiden back, but there's also a crack in the floor upstairs which Link needs to bomb. And since the maiden doesn't want to go outside and I've checked everywhere, let's just take her into this empty room which has light now. Well, looky here, it's the boss of Thieves Town, Blind the Thief. So blind is the reason why the difficulty spike goes up to an 8 because, I mean, just look at what's going on in this boss fight. He can have 2 floating heads shooting projectiles after you, he shoots a deadly laser, moves around a lot, and to top it all off, he is immune to everything but the Cane of Samaria. And I only have 4 hearts, so what could possibly go wrong? Everything. I mean, even with 2 floating heads, a billion projectiles, and the Cane of Samaria as my only weapon, I managed to eventually beat Blind, and that's Thieves Town done. Look, lady, I'm good, you're bad. I don't need all this stupid exposition, so can we move it along? So real quick, something I didn't mention before. I thought it was also worth mentioning, I didn't want to go on my way to get the shield either, because normally Ankh gives you the shield, or you can just buy one. But it's okay, because Link is controlled by I'm good, you're bad. He has all the protection he needs.
Cringe.
But the real question is, do you have protection while watching this video?
No chance.
That's right, because I want to thank Surfshark for partnering with me for this video. Anytime I do research for a video or go online, I feel pretty exposed when I don't have something like a VPN running to protect my valuable information while surfing the internet.
I'm in danger!
That's where Surfshark comes in, where you can connect to their virtual private network. It will encrypt and protect your data so that you can feel safe while browsing the internet.
Yeah, boy.
Also a great benefit to Surfshark if I am playing Subway Surfers on my iPad, watching I'm Bad You're Good on my phone, or watching Pretty Spicy Stuff on my PC. Surfshark allows you to have one account, and there's no limit on the number of devices you can have their VPN running on, which is really helpful. So if you need protection online today, you can use the link in the description to buy a plan and get secure with Surfshark. And also Surfshark has a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied with the plan.
Hey, come on, baby! Come on!
Anyway, let's get back to the video. Now the Titan's Mitt lets me clear this path and access this portal into the woods, it's time to get some extra gear. First I need the fluid item, which I'm getting way early on, because it's a fantastic fast travel item. So I get the shovel from the kid, and I find the flute in the light world, and I brought it back to the kid, and he asked me if he can hear the flute for one last time. Maybe a nice guy would let him hear the flute for the last time, and then he peacefully turns into stone. But I'm a giant asshole, and he's a year bad for losing the flute, so no final send-off.
Pardon my French,
But you're an asshole.
So after that kind act, I went to save this frog with the Titan's Mitt, and I took him back to Kakariko because in the Dark World, that puts a chest in this house, and only one man can open this chest. But let's go to the bird statue in the village and play the flute.
a bird.
So now I can travel to one of 8 points in the overworld, and I choose the desert because the man who can open the chest is here, and as long as I keep his secret, he gives me another bottle. He's normally like, wow, I used to be a thief and is a monk if you try to talk to him normally. And I promise to keep his secret in exchange for a copy of Castlevania 3 completed box. Hey, you hear that guy in the desert used to be a thief? What a badass. And real quick, I got the 4th and final bottle from this guy under the bridge. So finally we can go to the Desert Palace and use the Book of Medora to make a wish to open the way. Or you can just wish to become an I'm Good, or for the Triforce. But opening the way works too. So it's time for the Desert Palace. The Desert Palace holds 25 rooms, and normally this dungeon is a 1 out of 10 in difficulty. But swordless? 0 out of 10. Yeah, it's actually easier, because since I already obtained the Titan's Mitt, it's the upgraded version of the Power Glove item that's inside this palace. So once again, the Power Glove stays true to its origins, and it's still
So bad.
I don't need to go after it, so all I need is the big key for one door later on. And then I got 1 key in this room. Oh shit, flying tiles! Now I light all these empty torches.
2 minutes later.
And I've made it to the boss already, the Land Molas. Yep, the silver arrows just one-shot these assholes. Call Igub.
It's just that easy.
I don't have much else to say other than I'm a god gamer using the silver arrows on a second dungeon boss, but I don't care because we're moving on. So my next destination in the Dark World is the Palace of Darkness, which is normally the first Dark World dungeon the game wants you to do, and the only reason I'm going here is for one very important item. But on the way there, this monkey pops out of the maze, and he asks for 10 rupees. I mean, sure, I don't see the harm, and he keeps following me until I reach the gate, and...
Money! Tell him to bring me my money.
So in total, 110 rupees to open the palace, and I clearly don't have a choice, so I open up the palace, and let's take it on. The Dark Palace doesn't seem very dark. Containing 25 rooms, and honestly, it's pretty straightforward, and normal difficulty is a 3 out of 10. Without the sword, maybe a 4. There's not much here that I struggle with except maybe the boss. So I made my way through the palace, and luckily found the big key, which was very difficult to find.
Oh, that's sarcasm, isn't it?
And I finally have a place to show off another cool trick in this game, the bomb jump. So to execute this, I need Link as close to the edge as possible without falling off, then put down a bomb, and if positioned correctly, the explosion should push Link across. And since I need to show once again I'm good and you're bad, I'm gonna do the trick on my first try.
It's awkward.
Okay, another attempt. One more try. God, just cut back to the palace. Once I get across the falling bridge, I make it to this room, which is actually annoying without a sword because it's dark and full of these discount dragons. But I clear it no problem and grab another key, but more importantly, I've obtained the hammer item. And this is very important because it basically unlocks the last 5% of the overworld. Come across these pegs, gone. These laughing red things, gone. And on top of that, the hammer is another weapon I can use. So I head downstairs, shoot an arrow into this statue. Seriously with this?
One eternity later.
Now one final room to get through, and now I made it to the Helmasaur King. Nothing really changes here because even in a normal run, you need to use the hammer to break off his mask, and once that's gone, he dies to 1 silver arrow, and that's the Palace of Darkness conquered. So with 2 out of 7 Dark World palaces down, things are looking pretty good. And now that I've got the hammer, I can access this portal over here, which means it's time for the next palace already. The Swamp Palace. But there's just one thing I need to do first. I have to drain the swamp in the light world for a very important reason. So I head inside of this building, and there are 2 levers. Which one do I pull?
Pull the lever, Grunk.
Yes, I intuitively chose the right lever, which means that I can head back outside and go back to the mirror portal. And now we can actually enter the Swamp Palace, because without pulling that lever, there's no water for Link to swim across. The Swamp Palace with 27 rooms, and for normal difficulty, 4 out of 10. Shortest difficulty, maybe a 5. There's really not much of a difference, especially now that I'm completely decked out with the silver arrows, the hammer, Can of Samaria, even the Book of Medora. Nah, I'm just kidding. Did you really believe me when I said the Book of Medora?
Admit it.
So this palace is just mostly water puzzles, a few switches you need to hit, and getting through the dungeon until I obtain the big key, and grab the dungeon item from the big chest, which is the hook shot, and it's easily one of the best items in the game for offense and mobility. And yes, I'm about to say it. This 2D version of the hook shot is way more fun and useful than all the 3D renditions of the hook shot. Except for maybe the Twilight Princess dual claw shot. That's the second time I brought up Twilight Princess in this.
Let me think about it. Okay, I thought about it.
But anyway, now I go up into this room, then through the lower levels of the palace, and walk through this hidden waterfall to eventually reach the boss, Argus. Now here's the funny part, because I'm a clown and I amuse you and make you laugh. Even though I've played this game a million times, I completely forgot how this fight works. Because normally you're supposed to use the hook shot to pull off the little R guy, and then damage them. But I tried every weapon without doing that first, and I almost thought that this guy was impossible.
It was at this moment that he knew.
That I mean, you're bad. But once I remembered they need to actually hook shot the and then hammer them one by one, it becomes much simpler. Because once all the R guy are gone, he starts flying around, and alright, now I'm starting to wonder, was getting the silver arrows early a mistake? Nah, we might need them for Ganon later on. What do you guys think?
Fuck do I know?
Anyway, the Swamp Palace is done. So remember how I said earlier I couldn't kill that asshole Moldorm without a specific item? That item I needed was the hammer, because Moldorm is immune to every other weapon, and because I'm out for blood, let's go take care of unfinished business. Yeah, no, we're not doing an atmospheric transition for this dungeon.
Oh, my dude, you just got pranked. Bet you didn't see that one coming, huh?
The Tower of Hera is incredibly short, and I already obtained the Moon Pearl. So we're gonna skip right to Moldorm, which everyone hates for pretty good reason. But let's be honest, only your bads hate Moldorm. Luckily, all it takes is above average IQ and 3 hammer hits to defeat Moldorm. So now after completing all 3 Light World Palaces, I've got all 3 pendants. Which normally that would mean it's time to get the Master Sword. Whoa, yeah, no, I'm not touching that shit.
No touchy.
So the question becomes, where do I go from here? Because normally after getting the Master Sword and listening to...
How do you say your name again?
Neil signals you're supposed to go to Hyrule Castle, and in order to progress, you have to go up top Hyrule Castle and break this barrier. Only one problem. I don't have a sword. The sword is what breaks the barrier normally. So what's the solution to overcoming this? It's actually pretty simple, because I can just skip Hyrule Castle and go on with the challenge. Because the Hyrule Castle mini dungeon gives you nothing. No pendant, no crystal, no bitches. There's nothing at all, and it's just the game's intended way to send you to the Dark World. But I already entered the Dark World like 10 minutes into the video. So sucks for Zelda, but we're just gonna leave her in there. I got a challenge to finish and prove my goodness. So now looking at what's left to complete. Skull Woods. Ice Palace. Misery Mire. And Turtle Rock. I already got the cane from Misery Mire. Turtle Rock's dungeon item is garbage. And Ice Palace requires the item from Skull Woods. So that only leaves one option. The Skull Woods. So the Skull Woods. This dungeon is either the easiest in the game or the hardest in the game. It really depends on who's playing. And with 20 screens to explore, 22 if you count the entrances.
Shut up.
Normally I give it a 3 out of 10 for difficulty, but swordless? 9 out of 10. And you'll see why later on in the dungeon. In actuality, this dungeon can be beaten in a couple minutes. I need to enter this skull, clear this room of the Gibdos and open the door, and grab the big key pretty early on. But I just need to head back and to the left and grab this one small key.
Gotcha, bitch.
That wall master actually saved me some time, so thanks for that. And I was still able to get this small key, which is going to be important for later. Then I head into this next skull, and normally to reach this big chest, you'd have to go all the way around, bomb this wall, and pull a lever to clear a path to reach that chest. That is just some your bad gameplay, and instead of doing all that extra nonsense, this is my redemption moment. Because I can do a bomb jump from here to reach that chest. And I'm gonna pull this off first try.
Success!
And just like that, I've obtained the fire rod already, which is needed to enter the final part of the dungeon. But before that, I need to take care of something quick. Because for this boss, this is something that will actually help my swordless ass out a ton. I head back to Kakariko to hammer this spot, and drop down into the hole, and find this room with some weird rituals set up. This is where all the Earbads pray to become I'm goods. But if I use my magic powder on it, which I forgot to mention I grabbed earlier on after giving my business partner the mushroom, and now have the magic powder.
Hello, sir. Hey, I know you don't know me, but would you be interested in a felony quantity of methamphetamine?
Anyway, sprinkle a legal amount into this, and this bat wakes up. He just says a bunch of stuff we don't care about, and then he'll curse you.
Fuck you!
So now it looks like we only have half our magic, but it's actually reduced usage compared to normal, which helps out a ton, and it may even be required for what's coming next in the Skull Woods. Because now I go back to the Skull Woods to use the fire rod on this statue, and it opens the way to the final part. The key I grabbed earlier on opens this door, and that just avoids the displeasure of going through that maze down below to get the key from there. Unfortunately though, after not even a few rooms I hit another problem. This specific vine in the wall that needs to be broken to get to the next room. And of course, the only thing that works on it, take a guess, is the sword. This one specific gimmick that's also in Hyrule Castle is blocking my progression. And so that means I can't reach the boss Mothula. So now what am I supposed to do? But because I'm so good, and after digging around a bit, I found a way to get to Mothula without the vine obstructing me. It involves the Cane of Samaria. So how it works is I place down the block, I throw it and run inside the door, maneuver my way further into the door with the block over my head, and get to the very last pixel inside the door before the screen transitions, like this. And if I throw the block and did everything right, this happens.
What the hell is going on?
Yes, you are seeing this right. I'm not even gonna try and explain what's happening, but the game clearly just gave up because I'm too good and the programmers are bad. But what this allows for me is to bypass that room with the vine, and I'm able to get into the room that's before Mothula, and fall into the pit down below. So now we're fighting Mothula, who somehow is the most visible thing in this entire mess. But I still have to deal with the spike traps, Mothula, the item screen is completely screwed up, and he's only weak to the fire rod. However, none of that matters because I casually memorized where all my bottles are, and also where the fire rod was in my inventory, and had enough potions and magic to beat this jerk off first try.
Incredible.
Normally I skip the shit out of the maiden's text, but I just want to take a second to admire this beautiful scream while the maiden yaps about absolute nonsense. And after we're done, I save and quit to somewhat fix the game and reset it, but nonetheless, that's the Skullwoods defeated. Alright, so I'm making great progress and there's only 3 palaces left. So our next stop is the Ice Palace. And for once, there are 0 issues trying to get into the palace. So for the Ice Palace, they should be pretty chill. Get it? Chill, cause ice cold palace. Okay, I'll stop. Cue the transition. The Ice Palace has a whopping 35 rooms and way too many floors. I used to hate this dungeon when I was a year bad, but after many replays, it's actually one of my favorites now. So normal difficulty, 7 out of 10. Swordless, 8. And honestly, most of the difficulty here is in combat. It's the layout and of course the ice physics. Because this dungeon is basically just going deeper and deeper below. Now early on the fire rod is required because right here this enemy is immune to everything else. And the door only opens when you kill that enemy. So once that's handled, it's mostly smooth sailing. Until we reach this area. And because screw it, why not? I think I'll plug my gimmick in for this part. Here's the I'm good way versus your bad way. I could have been boring and said Swordless Link to the Past is I'm good way and your bad way is playing the game normally. But that's too easy. So this one switch right here influences the remaining half of the palace. And so if I were to do it the your bad way, I would just hit the switch, go through the rooms with the tiles down, and progress through the dungeon. But eventually I run to this door where I need to get the big key. And I have to involve myself in this stupid block puzzle where I need to hit this switch and circle around a few times just to open the door, and push this block down to open one door below.
I gotta tell you, that sounds awful.
So respectfully, no thank you to that, and let's do this the I'm good way. So I will leave that switch blue so the tiles are up in this room, and I'm about to do the most broken bomb jump in the game. It's precise as hell, but only the 1% can pull this off right. So let me show you how it's done. Okay, let me do this again. Yes sir, that's the I'm good way right there. Alright, side note, I should have hook-shot it after completing the bomb jump to avoid being hit by the fire bar. But what that actually did for me, it allows the blue tiles in the room with the blocks to be open. And the first time I enter this room, I can just push the block down below onto the switch and get to the palace boss much faster. And for that one guy who's gonna ask why I didn't get the blue tunic, it's because I do not need to increase my defenses to beat this game, and defeating Ganon in the OG tunic will be satisfying. So I got spooked by the jellyfish, but then discovering this hole, I fell down to reach the boss. Cold stare. Why is Krakow from a Baby Easy series in this game? I must have had too much of Link's magic powder because I'm in Dreamland. But the fire rod is required to melt down the ice barrier, and as I expected, the fire rod is the only weapon that can damage Krakow, Cold Stare. He's pretty simple even when he divides up into 3, but without that blue tunic, he hits for 4 hearts. No matter though, I took him down pretty quick, and the Ice Palace is finished. That was a breeze.
Hello? That's not funny!
Things are going pretty smoothly considering I still don't have a sword, but now we're approaching the final 2 palaces, Misery Mire and Turtle Rock.
We have a problem!
To enter these dungeons normally, Link needs the Ether Medallion to open Misery Mire, and the Quake Medallion to open Turtle Rock. The Quake Medallion is easy to get in the lake, but this actually shocked me when I tried to use it without a sword. It doesn't do anything. As for the Ether Medallion, using the Book of Medora reveals we need to hold up the Master Sword, but I can't exactly do that, so I'm stuck again and not exactly sure how to get to Ganon's Tower, or finish the game. I should be stuck right now, but the Japanese 1.0 version completely breaks the game, and it's actually possible to enter both palaces without either medallion. So switching to the JP 1.0 for now. Just imagine I already got to this exact point but in the JP version. I head back to the Palace of Darkness, and this specific room where I'm standing in, this is where the magic happens. If I have Link fall into the pit with 1 heart, a fairy to revive me, and he falls down into the pit but timed a bomb explosion to kill him on the same frame the screen transitions, the fairy revived me and the game just doesn't know what to do here.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And I get to move around Link's falling sprite, which is actually pretty funny. What this allows me to do is clip into the wall, and to save you all some time and myself from animating another map, I had to follow a very specific path through the walls to eventually reach the inside of Misery Mire, which unfortunately I need the big key. Misery Mire with a whopping 37 rooms, but since I attempted this palace earlier on, we're gonna keep it really quick. But for the normal difficulty, 5 out of 10. Swordless, 6, mainly because of Vitreous. Since I don't have the big key and the magic mirror would just send me back to the Palace of Darkness, instead of progressing forward, I had to backtrack until I reached this room to light the 4 empty torches.
Holy crap! Anybody else feel that?
So that room normally has nothing in it, but after lighting the torches, it has been expanded. I can fall down below and get the big key. And I already got the Cane of Samaria, so it's purely making it back to the boss room, and I eventually made it back to Vitreous, and he's so much easier to fight this time around, because this time I have the Silver Arrows, which one-shot the mini eyeballs, and it only takes 4 shots to down Vitreous. But the question this time is, will I actually get the crystal? I wasn't even worried for a second, because my theory of why it didn't give me the crystal before, I clipped into Misery Mire from a cave and it put me in a cave state. Well, this time I clipped in from the Palace of Darkness, so now the game recognizes Link in the right state. And despite not knowing what that message in the middle of the screen says, Misery Mire has been conquered. So for the final Palace Turtle Rock, since the Quake Medallion can't be used, I've got 2 ways to get inside. The first one is a simple glitch where I need to magic mirror from this spot and get as close to the edge as I can. Then going back in the portal, I can just hop down the ledge, and now I have access to Turtle Rock. Wow. But for the second method, this one is way more interesting. So I go to this location in the Dark World, and once again, I need to dash buffer into the wall, the same trick that I used to get the Silver Arrows early. And eventually I reach this spot, I hit a downward teleport, do some questionable movement, and ta-da, we're up higher on Death Mountain.
How about that? How about that?
Now I need to hop down and get Link in this spot, and on the same frame the screen transitions, I use the magic mirror, and Link will move the screen but also be in the light world. And if I move, more weird shit happens, but I hold up, and just like that, we're in Turtle Rock again. Turtle Rock, 27 rooms. The Cane of Samaria is required here for the main gimmick, which is basically waiting around and doing nothing on these platforms. That reminds me of Crash Man Stage and Wily Stage 4 and Mega Man 2, but we're not getting into how bad that game is again. Definitely don't watch my Mega Man 2 video. So normal difficulty, 6 out of 10. Swordless, 9. So depending on which glitch I use to enter Turtle Rock, this changes the route of getting to try next. If I use the simpler jumping off the ledge glitch, I start off near the big chest, which normally gives me the light shield. But here's the thing with the light shield, outside of blocking these eye lasers, it's pretty useless. And plus, Link without a sword and shield just looks funny.
I mean, what's funny about it?
So from here, I basically have to reverse my way through the dungeon, do a lot of waiting on the platforms, and eventually get to the big key so I can open my way to the boss. But if I use the more advanced clip of getting inside Turtle Rock, I just bomb a hole in the wall, and that puts me 3 doors away from the boss. So I just need the 1 key from this chest, and we're good to go. Alright, after that lapse in your bad gameplay, now I can finally reach the boss. Try next. He's easily one of the coolest bosses in the game, but swordless, he's an absolute tank. And he hits hard at 4 hearts. So the ice head needs to go first because it spits ice, and if he pulls it off, the ice stays on the field permanently, and I do not need any of that. But luckily the fire rod destroys him pretty quick. As for the fire head, oh my god, whoever coded this thing gave it way too much HP, or the ice rod barely does any damage. This took 2 blue potions, and 1 magic potion I was saving for later. But this is crazy because I managed to do it, both my last shot of magic after all the bottles. So once both heads are down, Trinex enters his final phase and becomes a nudist. Luckily this phase does not require any magic, but he still hits me for 4 hearts. And the hammer is the only other weapon that can hurt his core. So it takes 4 hammer hits, and Trinex goes down.
Oh shit, that's just too easy!
Hello there.
Oh look, it's Zelda. I should really pay attention to her wise words.
Skip, skip.
And just like that, that is the 7th palace done. So now in the JP version, I can head to Ganon's tower, defeat Aghanim, and beat the game, live happily ever after, and maybe start working on the no-hit Mario 3 run for the next video.
The fuck are you talking about?
But there's a reason I went over the JP version. Going back to the US version, these glitches for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock are not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
It's just not.
The trick to get inside Misery Mire doesn't work because even on failed attempts, the bomb won't damage Link in the pit. And for the simple Turtle Rock clip, the developers patched it so you can't jump off the ledge. And for the more complex clip, everything up to the magic mirror trick works, but no matter the timing and spot, the transition does not work. So I guess for Turtle Rock,
We can't go over it. We can't go under it.
it's looking like the swordless run could be over.
Oh no!
So it's time to look inward. Even though the fortune teller is useless to me as an I'm good, maybe he has the answer for how we move forward? Oh, fortune teller, how do I get back on the path to beat this challenge? Seriously? That's not happening. Okay, so I've narrowed my next course of action to 3 options. Option 1. I could just admit defeat like a fraud, but come on, that's not happening.
You all know exactly who I am.
Option 2, find another glitch or exploit that could get me into these palaces, or some crazy workaround that can save the run.
Perhaps.
Or there's option 3, and this will be controversial. I could actually get the Master Sword.
Say that again?
But only to go up to Death Mountain and obtain the Ether Medallion to open Misery Mire, and use the Quake Medallion to open Turtle Rock. Hell, I could even break the barrier open in Hyrule Castle to save Zelda if I felt like it. However, I would not use the sword at all and immediately go back to the blacksmith and temper the sword, which means they take back the sword so I can continue on to the last 2 palaces swordless. So leave your guesses below in the comments for what option you think I chose.
Wait.
God, this is stressing me out. I need to open some chests and make some rupees to calm down.
Stop. Seriously, stop.
Look, 99% of gamblers quit before they hit it big, and I'm turning an easy profit here.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, fine. I'll stop being a fake DraftKings sponsor. But as for the option I chose for this challenge, option 2, Ganon's Tower. Normally, you need all 7 crystals to break the barrier on Ganon's Tower, and I bet your bad is gonna ask,
Igub, how can you get inside the tower if you don't have all the crystals?
Right? Isn't that what you're all thinking?
remember the dash buffering I used to get the silver arrows early? It actually comes back into play, but in this area of the Dark World instead. And thank God I don't have to deal with the damn boulders this time. So I dash buffer into the wall, fall out of bounds, walk my way around for a bit, and believe it or not, I just found the stairs for Ganon's Tower. Yeah, I'm so hyped I can't even contain myself. So no need to do Misery Mire or Turtle Rock. Cue the final dungeon transition. Ganon's Tower holds 60 rooms, the most in the game. It can be a real headache to explore this place. But in terms of normal difficulty, 8 out of 10 because it's easy to get lost in. Swordless, bump it up to a 9. So all I need to do is go downstairs, get these 2 small keys, and it's really all about getting to the big key from here. But this room is obnoxious, needing to light all the torches and speed run to the door before it closes, and avoid wall masters. But once I do it right, I eventually reach this room to bomb the floor and drop down below to fight the Armos Knights again. What, am I supposed to be scared of these guys? The silver arrows make them a complete joke because it one-shots them, so moving swiftly on, the room to the north holds the big key. And I only needed the big key to unlock 2 doors upstairs, because I'm skipping the dungeon item, the red tunic, cause come on, increasing my defense, that is such a your bad type of move. But as I made my way upstairs, I took some time to reflect on my experience with the Swordless run so far. It's only been difficult because of the amount of specific glitches and exploits needed to progress the game. Combat-wise, it's been so easy. Hey, who put that footage there? Anyway, now I reach this room and I can Pegasus boots off that block and hop to the other side, bomb the hole in the wall, and this secret room has some nice resources. And so now, there are 2 ways of getting through this next part, and no, I'm not milking I'm good way or bad way again. Normally I have to go upstairs and progress through these mini gauntlet rooms, which include refights with Lamb Molas and Moldorm. I still hate Moldorm, but with this green magic potion I bought earlier, I walked through the wall transition and I timed drinking it, and just like that, I skipped all 19 of those gauntlet rooms, and we can head straight to the final boss, Aghanim.
Excuse me, what?
So Aghanim is a schizo confirmed because we never even saw him in the light world. But I know someone will ask, even if I fought him in Hyrule Castle, how could I beat him without the sword? Well, our friend Neil gives you a hint that the wizard can only be hurt by his own magic, and one item from Kakariko Village solves that issue.
Hurry it up!
I will not let you spoil the nail-biting tension I am deliberately weaving here.
It's the bug net. The bug net can actually hit back Aghanim's projectiles and allow me to beat the game. And as much as I love this game, why did every Zelda game have to follow this stupid shoot the projectiles back at Ganon? I blame this game a little bit for that. And even starting in Ocarina of Time, you can use the damn bottle to reflect his magic back at him.
That is so silly.
But after hitting enough magic back at him, Aghanim finally goes down. So this is it, the moment to take down Ganon and complete the journey to become an I'm good. Just need to do one more thing first. Okay, that chest looks good. Ooh, I like the look of this one. This one looks nice. Alright, fine, I admit it.
I have a serious problem.
I ran out of money, and I need to stock up on blue potions before Ganon. But I'll borrow some money from my guy Chris Houlihan. If you know, you know. Alright, with enough preparation, it's time to take on Ganon.
Who are you talking to right now?
Oh, you think you can negotiate with me?
You must die!
Alright, enough talk. How about Ganon? So what weapon besides the sword works on Ganon? Maybe the hammer? No, what about the silver arrows?
No.
Possibly bombs?
What the hell?
Okay, I'm gonna save you all some time. Not a single weapon besides the sword can hurt Ganon. Not even the bug net. So what am I supposed to do now? We don't need to fight Ganon. And to do that, we're heading back to the Kakariko Cave and doing the clip that's made this entire run possible one final time. And of course I pulled off like the G I am, and now I'm on the exact path that I need to be on. I make my way through the walls once again, and the moment I hear the final boss music starting and go north, I just made it into the Triforce room.
To the victor belongs the spoils.
Ganon must be feeling real stupid right now because I conquered the light and dark world without a sword. And I got the Triforce. We all know who your bad is, but Link can make his wish to become an I'm good. Even though honestly, he's already proved it through this challenge. So Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past swordless run has been conquered. There's never a doubt in my mind.
Cap.
I don't have much else to say. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. And if you're new around here, check out my Zelda 2 No Candle Challenge run, or any other easy games that I cover.
Yes.
Also join the Discord if you want to be part of the Earbads community, and let me know in the comments what challenge or game I should do next. See you next time.
Good afternoon, sir. Could we interest you in some chocolate?
Chocolate!